So, earlier today, I hope I figured this out. The first video run in the morning, this will run later in the day. But we did this is Unboxing Sunday, and I unboxed a whole bunch of westerns this morning. There was a few that didn't kind of belong but it was in the box. So it was mostly westerns. There was a couple that weren't westerns. But it was a box of westerns, and it had we have talked about John Jakes previously. There was a couple of John Jakes books in there. And going through the other boxes, I found the rest of the set. So I just thought I would give you the entire set. Now, as we did historicals last July, August. Check out those if you're interested in those, where we talked about John Jakes, North and South. That was a mini series. We talked about Thornbirds, and a few others. So go check out that video if you haven't seen it. But this is another series that John Jakes wrote, and it's 8 books. So I thought I'd do a bonus since they're all going to the same place. They're all going to the charity later this afternoon. So I thought I would just include these because we saw the other 2 books in the earlier video, and I was like, I bet the rest of them are here somewhere. So I went through some other boxes and I found a few more. Miss Smokey, are you joining me for this unboxing? Are you coming here? Well, yes or no? Fine, she's gonna crawl up at my feet. Alright, so John Jakes. Volume 1, The Kent Chronicles. The Bastards. I think we need some tape here. Let's see. This bold, uniquely American saga spanning 5 generations of the proud, flamboyant Kent family, their conflicts, passion, and loves set against the thundering turbulence and searing drama of a nation struggling to survive. Volume 1, The Bastard, moving from the baronial splendor of upper-crust 18th century England to untamed colonial America. The first volume in the exciting series tells of the folly and fortune of Philip Kent, the bastard son of an English duke who flees England for America and founds a glorious but tumultuous dynasty of Kents. His personal quest for freedom plunges him into a blazing battlefield confrontation with his hatred half-brother and a tempestuous romance with the spirited daughter of American revolutionary. Book 1. Book 2. The Rebels. Young, dashing Philip Kent, now a patriot soldier, becomes deeply embroiled in the nation's fight for independence. He soon learns the cost of freedom is the highest price he will ever pay as he witnesses the nerve-shattering horror of the battlefield and faces the tragedy of his wife's mysterious disappearance. When his passion is rekindled by a beautiful Virginia widow, he cannot know their illicit union with Judson Fletcher, a disgraced aristocrat, will forever taint the Kent family with Fletcher blood. Book 3, The Seekers. With the end of the colonials' fight for independence begins a new and even more glorious battle to build a nation. 2 generations of Kent struggle to find their place in the new land. Philip's young son Abraham falls in love with his stepsister Amanda, a girl child with the heart of a woman who was sold into bondage, brutalized, and violated by the Sioux warriors. And I didn't pronounce that right, and I have no idea how to pronounce it. Volume 4, The Furies. Spanning the young American continent, the continuing saga of the Kent family follows the dangerous, blood-soaked years of our nation's mighty expansion and thrusts a new brilliant new heroine into the foreground of its struggles. Amanda Kent, a victim of savagery, devastated by humiliation and heartbreak, is driven by one burning desire to restore the House of Kent to its rightful honor as she moves from the crude gold rush towns of barbaric men and used women to New York's high society. Book 5, The Titans. The Kent family is torn apart by hatred and greed as the strife of the Civil War turns brother against brother. There's Lewis, who dreams of a richer Kent empire, Jephthah, who discovers that his one-time wife has turned spy. Gideon, torn between his consuming hatred for the North and his passion for a woman of peace, Jeremiah, whose favor to bring dying Confederate general brings him to a southern plantation and into a smoldering love triangle. Book 6, The Warriors. As the Civil War draws to an end, The Warriors carries the stirring chronicles of the Kent family to a far-reaching new battlefield. Jeremiah Kent turns into Western outlaw after being thrust into a web of lust and murder by a lascivious Southern belle. Meanwhile, Gideon Kent moves up north and tangles with second cousin Lewis Kent, a corrupt railroad official, and Michael Boyle, adopted son of Jeremy's father, sets down roots in Wyoming. Book 7, The Lawless. The year is 1876. The United States is 100 years old, and the changes sweeping the nation are also engulfing the Kent family. The strong voice of Gideon Kent sounds clearly from New York slums as he denounces the exploiters of common working men. Thus, he earns the hatred of one of America's most powerful and unscrupulous industrialists. Thousands of miles away in the frontier towns of Abilene and Deadwood, Jeremiah Kent's love affair with violence draws him ever closer to the predicted saloon. Meanwhile, against the background of Paris during the turmoil of the Franco-Persian War, Matthew Kent must confront the painful choice between the art he loves and the woman he loves. And the final book, The Americans. The Americans takes the Kent family into the 1890s as Gideon Kent, now a prosperous publisher and father of 3 children, sees little hope for America's future in his wild and willful offspring Carter, the stepson who drifts across the continent in search of easy riches. Eleanor, the beautiful actress who escapes the demands of life through her theatrical roles, and Will, Gideon's brightest hope, but only if the boy can free himself from the torment memories of his late mother's madness. From the frantic San Francisco political scene to the tragedy of the Johnstown flood and to the crushing poverty of New York slum, these 3 young Kents struggle to find their place in a rapidly changing world, and their ancestries weave themselves into the very fabric of American society. And that's all I have. Those are the 8 books. So, The Americans, The Lawless, The Warriors, The Titans, The Furies, The Seekers, The Rebels, The Bastards. Have a good day.